Hare Krishna, everyone. Here we are continuing our readings of the Bhagavad Gita. And we're moving on to the third chapter, which is entitled Karma Yoga. Karma means activity, and yoga means to connect with the Supreme. So, what are those activities that connects us to the Supreme? Usually people think of activity as being something that disconnects you, and therefore we should go off to some secluded place and become inactive to meditate. That's one way of connecting, and this is also discussed in the Gita, but Krishna explains that this is actually much more difficult. It's more difficult to practice yoga secluded in the forest with no one around and just eating whatever grows there, being subjected to the elements, than just living in the comfort of your own home. Both work, but one is much easier than the other. So Karma Yoga is much easier than this other, which is called Jnana Yoga or Dhyana Yoga. I'm reading the Sanskrit, the translation, as well as the purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. I'll read that again. The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. And here is the purport, commentary. Two persons, one in Krishna consciousness and the other in material consciousness, working on the same level, may appear to be working on the same platform, but there's a wide gulf of difference in the respective positions. The person in material consciousness is convinced by false ego that he is the doer of everything. He does not know that the mechanism of the body is produced by material nature, which works under the supervision of the Supreme Lord. The materialistic person has no knowledge that ultimately he is under the control of Krishna. The person in false ego takes all credit for doing everything independently, and that is the symptom of his nescience. He does not know that this gross and subtle body is the creation of material nature, under the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and as such his bodily and mental activities should be engaged in the service of Krishna and Krishna consciousness. The ignorant man forgets that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Rishikesh, or the master of the senses of the material body. For, due to his long misuse of the senses and sense gratification, he is factually bewildered by the false ego, which makes him forget his eternal relationship with Krishna. Once again, the spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. I should explain what the three modes of material nature are so that there's a real context of what is being spoken about here. The world that we live in has certain energies or certain forces that are in control. Why do the seasons come and go? Why do the oceans stay within their shores? Why is it that rain falls as it does, that the planets rotate the way they do? There is certainly control here, And here in the purport, we heard that the ultimate control is that of the Supreme. But there's also the control of, well, what we call Mother Nature. There's nature. And if we see very closely, if we study nature, we see that nature has basically three different modes that is being used here, or three primary qualities. And that is the quality of goodness, the quality of passion, and the quality of ignorance. So, and then these things affect things in different ways. They have a different effect on those people who come in contact with them, or those things and living entities that come in contact with them. For instance, what is it that causes volcanic explosions? Well, that's a destructive force. That destructive force is the influence of the mode of ignorance. Ignorance destroys. Now it's spring. What is it that's causing all of these flowers to blossom, the trees to blossom, leaves, very, very beautiful. This creative energy, that is the mode of passion. Passion means creation. And goodness, and what is it that ultimately maintains things, which anyone who has experience with trying to maintain things, they know that this is the most difficult. You can buy a car easily, but then maintaining it is something else. So goodness means maintenance. And these are the three things: creation, destruction, and maintenance. And their influences. And things then, if you want to look at the permutations and combinations, then they interact. 3 times 3 is 9, and 9 times 9 is 81, and 81 is 81 times 81 is 6,400 some odd, and so on and on. So there are different varieties of this. Now, these modes of nature are acting upon us. I'm communicating, I'm moving my hand back and forth like this. What happens if that power of movement is taken away? Then I can't do it. I may want to do it, but I won't be able to do it. As I'm getting into my 70s, there's a lot of things I want to do, but the mode of ignorance, which is age is gradually destroying this body, I'm no longer able to do. So the influence of these modes of nature on this body, but still, I think that I am the doer. And why is it that I think that I'm the doer? And this is called false ego, a false identity. Because in terms of action, I just see what's immediately in front of me, and what's immediately in front of me, and that is this body. My body, my mind, my intelligence. I think that these are all the causes of action, but actually they are not. We are not in control. This whole virus pandemic is showing us, are we really in control? Is man in control? Absolutely not. We are not in control. We have been brought to our knees by a invisible enemy, a tiny, tiny invisible enemy. So here, those persons who are not yogis, those who are not educated, those who are not in knowledge of what the real purpose and value of life is, they think, I'm the one who's doing. And an intelligent person realizes, no, I'm not the one who's doing. Ultimately, whatever I do, that is a byproduct of the modes of nature. My body, I'm speaking. So I think I'm the speaker. But did I create my tongue? Did I create the power of speech? Am I the one who's able to communicate? Am I the one who actually created my senses? No, of course not. That was also created by the modes of nature, by the arrangement of the Supreme. And the real yogi, the spiritualist, he then actually, or she then actually sees that no, behind my activities there is nature, and behind nature there's the supreme controller. And therefore I see that they are the ones that are in control. But control has a purpose. What is the purpose of it? And the purpose is self-realization. So when I'm using this body and I'm using my intelligence for self-realization, then that is the proper use of our facilities, and that is proper ego. That is pure ego or real ego. I'm the servant of the Supreme. I'm meant to realize the Supreme. And when I think that I'm in control, I'm this body, then that is false ego. So really this step or this phase of karma yoga is dependent on us having this understanding of who we are. And this is a very fundamental, underlying, repeated topic of the Bhagavad Gita, that you must know you're not this body, you must realize you're not this body, and you must learn to act like you're not this body. Then you are actually a learned person, a self-realized person, and a civilized person. Otherwise, we're just like puppets who think that we're the ones who are doing everything, whereas actually it's the puppeteer of nature that is the real doer. I hope that gives some food for thought, and we'll be back again in a few days and continuing Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna.